What's the most amazing thing about the universe?
Number 1, that in the grand scheme of things, we are all immortal. Our organic cells will die, our consciousness will cease, and we will no longer be able to directly observe existence, but the atoms that make up our bodies will simply be new compounds. And if energy is neither created nor destroyed, if our atoms continue to be, we will eventually make up the building blocks of new compounds. Pieces of us will watch the sun swallow up Mercury and Venus. Pieces of us will watch supernovae and black holes and all sorts of cosmic phenomena. Perhaps even one day our atoms will return to a nebula and the cycle will begin again. A new star is formed, new planets begin to orbit it. Liquid water forms on a small green rock orbiting this star, and an intelligent species evolves to travel to marvel at the wonders of our universe. One of my favorite shows is Battlestar Galactica, and one of the quotes that stuck out to me was, "All of this has happened before, and it will happen again." I tend to think there's some truth to that. I've had a couple friends and my grandfather die this year, and as an agnostic, I am processing death a bit differently from the rest of my family. I don't think of death as the ending, as a finality. I don't think there is an afterlife as most religions conceive of it. I think that in a weird way, we all live forever. Number 2. This is one I thought about recently. I believe that Carl Sagan said that we sentient entities are a way for the cosmos to know itself. With this in mind, when we think about the end of our universe, whether it be through a big shrink, big cooling, or what have you, we get apprehensive. We probably will never see this end. Many of us will be dead. Yet we still get a cold fear in our hearts. We are also a way for the cosmos to fear its demise. Number 3, how young it is. People look at the universe being 13.7 billion years old and say, that is ancient. That is nothing. Stars will continue to form for another 100 trillion years. Even after that, stellar remnants will exist for quadrillions of years. Black holes will still produce energy that can be used by intelligent civilizations for 1,100 years. Keep in mind, if biological life doesn't destroy itself, we will just keep getting more and more knowledge. It's probably a safe bet that within 500 years, which is nothing on universal timescales, we will be an interstellar species that has long ago transcended biology. There is no telling what our descendants will do for the remaining life of the universe. The 4 to 5 billion years of biological evolution of life on Earth will be looked at as an embryonic stage for endless quintillions of years of real life to begin post-biology. They will view the universe as their oyster, a place of infinite possibilities, while we are still just spending our days trying not to die and trying to avoid being punished by our brains with pain. Number 4, there is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Number 5, that we just don't understand it. It could be flat, it could be irregular, there could be another one. It's growing at an exponential speed, it's invisible contents. We try to learn more about it, using our earthly knowledge, but there is certainly more to it. It's like trying to wrap your head around eternity. We don't know what is out there, and can only really guess through theories from our already obtained knowledge, which, as of today, is most likely just a drop in the ocean compared to the universe in its entirety. Because of this, the potential is endless, and that idea is very exciting. Number 6, the way we perceive the universe. In its physical form, we think it's all around us, on a cosmic scale. But more than that, it's inside all of us. We're made of each and every atom that the universe is comprised of. It sounds super philosophical and like something a stoned person would say, but the distinctness within our universe is what sets everyone apart. The way each of us, made up of the same elements of this universe, yet manage to be so different. Perhaps you could say the greatest and rather miraculous thing of all is, in fact, life. Number 7. Imagine for the moment that the universe began in a truly colossal flash of light. For the first several eons, there was little more than dust, slowly being drawn together by a combination of gravity and electromagnetism. Then, as stars formed and gave birth to planets, and as complex molecules came together, the beginnings of life emerged. At first, this life was incredibly simple, barely capable of surviving to reproduce, let alone contemplating its own existence. As the ages passed, though, it gave rise to more and more complexity, eventually resulting in beings who could look up at the stars that had birthed them and wonder, why? These creatures, driven by something they could scarcely comprehend, set about trying to define their place in the world and explain how they came to inhabit it. They began to believe. Like the organisms that had spawned them, these beliefs and suppositions grew and evolved. They incited terrible tragedies and sparked incredible developments until the day that they finally fell away and were replaced by an ever-increasing awareness of the cosmos. However, the original drive, the desire to know and understand, remained, and it prompted the thinking creatures to combine their efforts in pursuit of an answer. The inquisitive explorers reached toward the stars once more, and when they did, they encountered other beings not terribly unlike themselves. There were rough patches in these meetings, of course, but as each species learned to understand and cherish one another, they all compounded their perspectives in pursuit of their goal. A single, interlinked mind rose from the trillions of individual beings, just as their individuals' brains had risen from tiny connected cells. It took millennia, but the entity, having come to include every creature in the universe, finally found the answer that it sought. And yet, it was not wholly content. Through its expansive consciousness and unfathomable technology, it was able to know everything that ever was, wasn't, or would be. It could control the whole of existence with little more than a passing thought. And as it contemplated, it realized what it actually wanted. Space began to shrink in upon itself. Stars and planets were swept up in an invisible wake, being pulled inward at impossible speeds and across countless light years. It took eons more, but finally, all of the possibilities and all of the many celestial bodies were brought together in a single point, both infinitely dense and incalculably massive, yet persisting at a size seemingly too small to exist. Tiny adjustments were made and minute but important rules were put into place. But ultimately, the end result of the entity's influences would remain unknown. Then there was a colossal flash of light. Planets formed, life arose, creatures scurried through the world, battles were fought, love was found, and an entire history was written across an infinite number of unique minds. Some of those minds delighted in sharing their stories, while others wanted nothing more than to hear them. Remember to listen. Number 8. No matter how insignificant and bleak life may look up close, when climbing a mountain and admiring the view, or finding a spot away from the city and looking at the stars, we will forever be hit by its beauty. The big picture is always there to be admired, to make us forget how small and pointless daily details are. Number 9. Imagine being lost in an infinitely large, completely flat field. I don't know what circumstances led to you being there, but that's the state of things. It's the dead of night, and there are no visible landmarks. But all around you, interspersed at concerningly regular intervals, you can see hovering fireflies. Now, if you were to start running at a fast enough speed, the fireflies behind you would appear to take on a slightly red hue, whereas the ones in front of you would seem to be blue. This is called the Doppler shift, and if you could accurately measure the amount that the colors had changed, you could also calculate your approximate velocity. Something very similar is going on with the Earth. We can look at the cosmic microwave background, the evenly dispersed radiation left over from the Big Bang, and use that as a frame of reference. From there, we can figure out how quickly we're moving through the universe, which results in a velocity that comes out to about 800 kilometers per second at its fastest. That's enough to make anyone feel a bit dizzy. Just make sure that you keep your mouth closed. Fireflies don't taste very nice. Number 10. Sand. Hear me out. Without sand, we wouldn't have glass, so we wouldn't have telescopes to see the larger universe, or microscopes to see the amazing micro-universe around us. We wouldn't have the car, space travel, or spectacles. Sand also gives us bricks, cement, and roads to make cities. Our homes are mostly just piles of sand. Sand makes land, islands in the middle of nowhere, and gives us something to hold on to all those the oceans with. Put a bunch together and you get mountains and planets. Sand, pretty damn amazing. We can do amazing things with it, and it probably exists on most planets. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe, and check out my other videos. Thank you, and have an amazing day.